Today we're making 5 different yogurt dips, and they're so easy and so delicious, and they're pretty good for you too. So stick around. I love yogurt. You might know that because you might have seen my Instant Pot yogurt video. It was a bit of a flop, to be honest, but that's fine. I mean, not every video is going to be a winner, but I made a video about it. This is it here. Now I've taken some of my Instant Pot yogurt and strained it for this video because we're going to make dips. My dip philosophy is it's better to start thick and then thin out if needed, because you don't want a runny dip, right? So we're just going to go into the 5 dips. The first yogurt dip up today is a carrot dip, and this is inspired by a Turkish dip, which is pretty cool. I have 3 carrots here that I've grated and sauteed gently in some garlic, some olive oil, and some salt until they were nice and soft, and then I added cumin powder and aleppo pepper at the end, and it just makes this flavorful carrot mixture. The dip itself is like more carrot than anything else, which I think is really cool. I remember seeing this on an episode of a cooking show, an Australian cooking show called Food Safari. I don't know if any of you watched that, but it was such a good show. I loved it so much. They basically went for a food tour around Melbourne, Australia, and all the restaurants and street food there just made me so hungry. So I'm gonna transfer the carrots into the bowl here, and then quite simply, I'm gonna add yogurt. Now, because carrots are not, like, they're cooked out and they're not watery, I'm actually gonna add my straight up unstrained yogurt here and take a bit of a risk and hope that it's not too runny in the end. So here there's about like 2 to 3 parts carrot and then 1 part yogurt, like it's mostly carrot. And then to that, I'm also gonna add a bit of fresh parsley. I would add garlic, but I already added garlic in the sauteing process, so it's already garlicked enough. And just the parsley is just a little bit of freshness. If I had mint, I would use it. I feel like I said that last time too. I really need to start growing some mint because I love mint. I already added salt to the carrots as well, so this is all I'm gonna add before tasting it, and I might adjust after. This is truly a carrot dip. It's really not a yogurt dip, it's a carrot dip with a little yogurt assist. That looks pretty good. I might add a little bit more yogurt just to make it a bit more dippy and less salady. Dip number 2 is also vegetable based, and it's a beet dip. So I busted out my food processor, and I have some beets here that I just steamed until they were tender. And I'm just gonna drop them into the food processor. They're also cold. The carrots were cold too, by the way. With the beet, I'm also gonna throw in some ginger. I'm gonna give it a rough chop because the food processor is pretty good, but it's not that good. Let's face it. And I'm also gonna add a clove of garlic. And then I'm just gonna blitz that up until it's kind of coarsely chopped. Ooh. Okay, so you need to scrape it a couple times because you just do. The texture we're looking for here is like this. Okay, so to this, because I feel like the beets are going to be a little bit juicier than the carrots were, I'm going to add my strained yogurt. Boom, or at least some strained. And maybe a little bit of regular. And salt. I feel like I always start with half a teaspoon at least. For this, I feel like I'm gonna need a teaspoon. So I think that's it. Just blend it up again. Ooh, so nice. Ooh, this is sweet and zingy with ginger. You can have this with flatbread, with veggies, crackers. Look at the color of that though. I mean, beets are just a beautiful color anyway. Anything you make with beets will be pretty. Third dip, we're just moving right along here, is a tuna dip, which is, I think, pretty awesome. I have a small can of oil packed tuna here, just because I find it so delish. I'm not going to use the oil. I'm actually going to drain it off. This is just going to be a little tiny batch. If you're a water packed tuna person, which I am for the most part, once in a while it's really nice to go for the oil pack because it's just got such a special silkiness to it or something. So I've got my tuna, I'm gonna smash it up a little bit so it's broken up. I'm kind of thinking about it in a way that, like, how I would want a really delicious tuna salad. So I'm gonna use some green onions. Again, this is a tiny amount, so I need to be careful not to totally overdo it. A bit of parsley again. And then I have some artichoke hearts, which I think is such a nice idea. I was planning on putting capers in here, and I swore I had capers in the fridge, but it turns out I don't. So I think about 3 artichokes. So this is really like tuna artichoke dip, I guess. It's about the same amount of artichokes as tuna. Roughly chopped. And then again, to make up for my lack of capers, I've got some olives. If all I had was pickles, I would just put pickles in. I have some pickled asparagus in the fridge I was thinking of putting in, but I think olives and artichokes will do the trick. A little bit of Dijon mustard adds a real kick. And I'm gonna use the strained yogurt for this one, I think. Or maybe a little bit of both. And I'm not adding salt quite yet because I'm not sure how salty everything is gonna make this already, because there's olives and tuna's a bit salty sometimes. And you can make this smooth. I've seen it where it's like really whippy, like almost like pate, but this is just gonna be a coarse, rough textured one. Also black pepper. Needs a bit of salt. And actually, it's not really briny enough yet. So I'm gonna brine it up with a little tiny drop of olive juice. Ooh, it's like a dirty martini. Oh my God, the olive juice did it. We're in the home stretch now. These last 2 are the easiest. It's literally just mixing 2 things together. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. That's the French side. With this vegetable spread. You can buy it at I'd say most grocery stores. I've seen it now, but definitely at kind of like a Middle Eastern grocery store. It's peppers and tomatoes and onions and a little bit of oil, and it's just all ground up together, and it's really, really flavorful. It's one of those multi-purpose ingredients that you can just have on hand and use it in so many ways. We like having it on bread with feta. So about equal parts yogurt and this stuff into a bowl, and then some salt. Half a teaspoon or so, because it's not very much volume. And that's a really, really good yogurt dip. I used it as a dip or kind of like a sauce for my garden greens galette. If you watch the savory galette episode, this was so good next to it. And it's just wonderful. It's just really good stuff. You guys, sauerkraut dip. I'm telling you, it seems super weird, but it's so good. Because sauerkraut has briny, pickly flavor. It has salty, salty fermented flavor. This was also so yummy with kimchi, but this is just my homemade ginger carrot kraut, and literally like equal parts kraut to strained yogurt. And this is a chip dip like you wouldn't believe. Potato chips. If I had one, I would show you. I do have tortilla chips though, so I'll dip a chip. Sauerkraut yogurt dip. Fermented on fermented action. You can even use a little more. Try this on your friends for your next chips and dip party. So, in order of appearance, we have a carrot dip, which is such a treat. It's so nice, you guys. It's got this spiced cumin thing. It's so lovely. And the texture of the grated carrots that are softened from sauteing them, they're so nice. And then we've got this beet dip, which is so freaking vibrant and amazing to look at. I mean, put that on a veggie platter and I mean, you'll have some pretty impressed people, I think. And then we've got the tuna dip, which I think is one of those weird ones that like people are like, oh yeah, tuna dip, huh? And then it's like gone because it's so good. And then there's this very simple vegetable spread, Ivar and yogurt dip, which you can just whip it up in 2 seconds. Also, one that you can whip up in 2 seconds is sauerkraut dip, which is so good. I think this one might be my favorite. That's it. That's the 5 yogurt dips for today. I hope you're having a really good summer and that you're eating lots of good food, maybe having some picnics, maybe having some close friends around you. And let me know if you make any of these dips because they're all super good and really, really easy. That's it. That's all. This is the show that shows you how to make dinner any night of the week with no stress. So, yogurt dips. Dips made of yogurt. This is dips made of yogurt. Take one. I love yogurt.